All right, so who doesn't love a good $20 knife? Yeah, I'm talking about the kind that are just like so good. It's hard to believe they cost practically nothing. So today, I'm going to show you 10 $20 budget knives that I found on Amazon with a level of quality that totally surprised me. And as usual, if you see something you like, I put all the links to buy down in the description for you. All right, let's get started with number 10 from Ganzo Firebird. This is the G768 PT. I know, bunch of numbers, no name, and it's got D2 steel. Man, it is so great to see a Ganzo crossbar lock knife with something other than 440C blade steel, because, well, that's all they've been using for the longest time. Not that 440C is terrible, but it just doesn't hold an edge as well as D2. We get it's a good looking 3.5 inch clip point blade it's got 3 different opening options. So you got the thumb studs, the thumb hole, and of course, the lock. Now, because of the ball bearing pivot, the action, it is just so good in like both directions, and it's got those like strong Omega springs. It's one of the few knives in this price range with a 2-position pocket clip, which makes this knife, because of the lock and the deployment methods, completely ambidextrous. Number 9 is going to be from Iger. This is the EF16, and it's in D2 steel. Now, this is a much beefier knife than I expected. I mean, you wouldn't think a blade this narrow would be 3.8 millimeters thick. I know, but it is. It almost makes like a better ice pick than a knife. So, its popularity kind of surprised me. It has over 1,000 reviews on Amazon. It really does have a good looking 3.74 inch stonewash drop point blade with great flipper action that I absolutely cannot get. I can't get this thing to fail. I tell you what, though, one thing you don't see very often is this type of pivot screw, which, yeah, you adjust it, just a regular old flathead screwdriver. The 1-position pocket clip does ride kind of shallow in pocket, but hey, at least, this knife is narrow enough. It's really not gonna take up much room. All right, number 8. I'm sure I'm gonna pronounce the name of this company wrong, but Fissa. Now, this knife doesn't have a name or a model number that I could find. They just have it listed as a 4.5 inch button lock. I haven't seen too many like sub $25 like budget button locks out there that I actually like, but this is one of them. We get a flipper opening, 3.1 inch drop point blade. The opening action is just, it's okay. I mean, I can pretty much fail it whenever I want, but that closing action, now that's a different story. Other than the steel designation, yeah, upside down, the blade it's sterile. But they kind of make up for it by putting the branding. They put the branding on the handle, which I don't love. Biggest issue I have is with the 1-position pocket clip, which for some reason, tip down only. And yeah, you do have to, remove it to be able to access that pivot screw. Sitting at number 7, this is from Free Tiger. It is the FT41. And it's in D2 steel. Pretty unique design that I think stands out with an almost like perfect balance between like form and function. And I really like the shape of this 3.54 inch drop point blade it's got stonewashed flats and satin grind. We get 2 opening options. It's got thumb studs and a really like low profile flipper tab that almost like practically disappears when the blade is open. This thing is a true fidget knife that is really difficult to fail when I'm opening it using the flipper. Number 6, I got another Iger. This is the EF230, and it's got D2 steel. Now, if you like knives with a good like blade to handle ratio, this is the one for you because they fit. Get this. It's a 3.7 inch blade into a 4.5-inch G10 handle. So, I mean, you get all the benefits of a larger blade, you know, without having to lug around a like a giant handle in your pocket. It's, of course, a liner lock with great, really good like flipper action, and it's got a full flat ground drop point blade. This thing cuts really well. Check out these bronze barrel spacers. Yeah, they added a touch of color. Nice deep carry pocket clip that unfortunately only has, yep, just the one position. Okay, so number 5 isn't really a new knife, but it's been a minute since I had one of these in my collection. It's the Buck Bantam. This is the 285 in 420 HC steel. This is the medium. It's just a super durable little lockback with pin construction, so it can't be disassembled, and so you're not able to adjust the pivot. It has some very grippy GRN handle scales without any liners inside, so it's extremely lightweight at about 2.35 ounces. Number 4 is, it's another company name that I guarantee that I'm mispronouncing it. It's Iger. I couldn't find a name or a model number associated with it, which really is too bad, because this is it's a very unique and really well thought out design. I'm going to call this modified sheep's foot blade. And it does have, you get 2 different opening options. Even though it works well, I'll show you. That front flipper, I'm really not in love with it, because it almost looks like an afterthought. And I just think that the design would look so much better without it. The low profile flipper tab not only works well, but it also, you can see it gives you the ability to use all of that sharpened edge. I absolutely love this pocket clip because, well, first, it rides. You can see that is like super deep in pocket. And if you look close, it's the kind that goes under the scale. So yeah, it can totally be switched to the other side for us lefties. Oh, and if you're liking this video so far, hey, would you just let me know by giving it a thumbs up? Number 3, I got another one from Ganzo Firebird. This is the FH924, and yeah, you guessed it, D2 steel. Yeah, this one really reminds me of the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog, and it's even they're almost the exact same size. Since it's a smaller knife without any real way to, like, well, choke up, I can only get it's a 3-finger grip on this G10 handle. Yeah, my pinky is just kind of flapping in the breeze. It's, of course, a liner lock with some great action that feels, I don't know, it feels very well made, almost like a knife costing, I don't know, 2-3 times as much. It is really rare to see a knife in this price range with that's a 2-position deep carry wire pocket clip. Nice job. And speaking of rare, at number 2, okay, this is from Saivian, the ST144. This has a 14C 28N Sandvik steel blade. Yeah, no D2, which would make this knife one of the all-time best knife deals ever. The steel at this price, it doesn't happen. And then get a load of this. The 3.3-inch blade has some really like unique, I call it kind of like sunburst milling that almost kind of looks like rays of sunlight. The closing action is just okay. It drops shut, but I got to give it a couple like really good shakes to get it to close. Well, I guess it's not all that terrible, but it's a little more. I notice I have to give it a little bit more than usual for it to drop. But that flipper opening is friggin' amazing. The D10 is just so strong that I cannot get it to fail, no matter how hard I try. And believe me when I say this, I've been trying. Nope, won't do it. It's a liner lock with a very like narrow and a contoured G10 handle that in hand, it kind of feels like an old Kershaw knife that was designed by, I think it was Matt Diskin. Do you remember the strobe? If you do, yeah, that's exactly what this knife feels like when I hold it. We get a nice deep carry pocket clip that unfortunately, yeah, it only has just the one position, but whatever, not a big deal, especially when you're getting 14C 28N Sandvik steel for $25. Yeah, I'm willing to overlook that little infraction. All right, here we are. You ready to see it? Number one, it comes to us from a company called Shieldon. This is the Empoleon D2 steel blade. This is an absolute steal at $20. The action and the build quality, it just feels more like a $50 to, I don't know, $60 knife. It has a perfectly tuned detent with flipper action that, again, I cannot get to fail. What does that make now? Like the third or fourth knife on this list with opening action that I can't fail? I think that's a record. And the ceramic ball bearing pivot makes the blade easily drop shut. Very, very nice action. The 3.54 inch drop point blade, it's not overly thick, which makes a narrow blade shape like this cut very well. The only change I would make is the one position pocket clip that also rides. You can see, yeah, that much is going to be sticking out of the pocket, so it does ride kind of shallow, which that's slightly frustrating because of how close to perfect that this budget knife actually is. Up on your screen is going to be a video that I personally picked out for you to go ahead and watch next. And hey, if you haven't already, hey, consider subscribing. If you're looking for knife reviews, oh, wait a minute, I got to grab a knife. Knife reviews that get right to the point. That was terrible.